A very good morning to you, and thank you so much for joining us this day right here on Kirk Mid-Morning. My name is Faith Kaulu, and as usual, such a pleasure to have you on board. We have a very interesting program lined up for you. I believe a very timely discussion, as we'll be looking at the situation of Kenyan domestic workers in Saudi Arabia. In the recent few weeks as well as months, stories have surfaced online and on the media spaces about mistreatment of Kenyan domestic workers in Saudi Arabia, and we'll be looking at that and talking about that. So definitely do interact with us on our social media pages, that is Facebook and YouTube at Kirk TV Kenya. We'd like to hear your opinion and questions. Where do you think we are going wrong, and what needs to be addressed as soon as possible? Leave your comments right there, and we'll be looking at them with guests today. I'll be introducing them in a few, but right about now, let's have a look at news at this hour now. President William Ruto addressed the nation yesterday on the issue of credit and loan borrowing. Well, he acknowledged that the 4.5 million credit borrowers who have been blacklisted and are in the CRB list will be pardoned on November this year. President William Ruto stated that all loan borrowers will get equal loaning rates. This is to enhance the loaning services, making it fair and accessible to all Kenyans. Now, together with the financial sector, President William Ruto has promised to work on credit for micro and small businesses, enterprises, making it possible for such owners to borrow loans so as to boost their businesses. This is ensuring that there is generation of more tax revenue.
First, I am very happy that between 4 and 5 million Kenyans will by beginning of November, they will be out of the blacklisting. That is very important. Very important because these 4 million Kenyans have been excluded from any formal borrowing because of blacklisting, and they have been left at the mercy of shylocks and predatory lenders that exploit them, and many Kenyans pay as much as 1,000% for credit. The fact that they will now be out of that space is a very positive development, and I want to commit here that the government of Kenya is not against credit listing or credit bureau facilities. In fact, we support CRBs as a mechanism of instilling financial discipline in our financial sector. What we are asking, and I think we are on the same page on this, and I've had a long conversation with the governor, what we are asking is we don't want credit listing to be an all or nothing, in or out engagement. We want credit listing to be a facility that gives everybody a chance to be their best in their own time. So I am happy Governor has told me they are having engagement with the CRBs so that we can change the credit listing mechanism. Instead of blacklisting, we can have a graduated mechanism that allocates rating on every citizen that is borrowing in the manner in which they have borrowed and in the manner in which they have paid back. State here that the government of Kenya, and I have the nominee for Treasury here and the nominee for ICT here, these two gentlemen will be working with you in the financial fintech space because we want to work on credit, especially for our micro, small, and medium enterprises. That is the space where we have the largest opportunity. That is the space that employs almost 80% of our population. and yet they are constrained by access to credit.
Well, moving on, the scrapping of the devolution ministry in President William Ruto's government continues to elicit mixed reactions from different quarters of the society. Some are hailing him for doing away with the ministry, while others have expressed their concerns over the future of devolution agenda in the country without the parent ministry.
Devolution was wrong in the first place, and it should never have been there, and it shouldn't be there. We opposed it in 2013 as the Council of Governors, and we grudgingly accepted to work with the Ministry of Devolution, because creating a ministry for devolution is actually belittling devolution. Devolution played a diversionary role, but because it started becoming a buffer between the Council of Governors and the national government, and it wouldn't move. It created too many roadblocks.
This has been a very important ministry in that it has been able to coordinate activities between the county governments and the national government, to coordinate all activities. And this is also the ministry or the State Department that also has been coordinating donors who wanted to deal with the counties. With such a responsibility not specifically specified among the functions of the other ministries, it's unfortunate that I can see that devolution issues are not going to be addressed adequately. I will therefore urge the President to reconsider and have a state function, a state department that will specifically at the national level deal with devolution issues.
Well, now Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has expressed his efforts to support agriculture in the country. Speaking during the official opening in the Nairobi Agricultural Show yesterday, Rigathi Gachagua assured Kenyans that the government under the leadership of President William Ruto will fully focus on the growth of agriculture in the country. Moreover, Rigathi, who was accompanied by Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja, expressed the need of advancement of technology in the agricultural system.
The government will not allow anybody to destabilize the reforms and the stability that is going on in the tea subsector. The attempt by former directors to forcibly take over factories and the KTDA headquarters is a height of impunity, and the government will not allow impunity. We must allow the directors who are in office to continue executing their mandate.
Contrary to what many people think, that Nairobi City County has agriculture. In fact, Nairobi City County government conducts more than 15,000 extension visits a year, more than most counties. You have seen urban farming using hydroponics, where we're going vertical. And Your Excellency, this is an area that my government in Nairobi will be willing to, we're going to support and support fully.
Well, indeed, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua speaking yesterday at the Nairobi Agricultural Show that is ongoing, or was officially opened yesterday. Now, the 13th Parliament will officially start business today with the address of the joint sitting of both houses by President William Ruto, expected to happen any moment from 2:30 p.m. today. The head of state is expected to outline the policies and key priorities anchored in the bottom-up economic model that he passionately campaigned on, which his administration will be seeking to realize. The sitting comes amid intensified supremacy battle between President Ruto and Raila Odinga. This is the Kenya Kwanza team and the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition, as they claim the House majority slot in the National Assembly. Of course, after his address, both houses will convene later on next month to debate upon President William Ruto's speech to be made today. This will be his first address to both houses. We're taking a very short break right here at Kirk Mid-Morning, but do not go too far, because today we are talking on the situation of Kenyan domestic workers in Saudi Arabia. So keep it right here. See you in a few.
Are you looking to grow your business? Kirk TV offers you a variety of advertising opportunities to suit your budget. Advertise with us today and reach your potential customers countrywide. For more information, email us on sales@kirktv.org or call 011 00 90 647. Kaunti ya Meru, eneo la Chogoria, kitovu cha umisheni na upana la mashariki ya Kenya. Tangu mwaka 1922, miaka 100 baadaye, athari za watangulizi kama vile Dr. Clive Ivan na wenzake, matunda ya kazi yao, kumbukumbu tunazivuta. Ujio na makuzi ya elimu, maadamu kumsaidia Mwafrika kupiga teke ujinga.
Since we started diploma in nursing, we've been able to qualify more than 2,500 nurses.
Afya bora kwa wakazi, hospitali na vituo vya afya vinavyosifika kote.
Chogoria Hospital has a main healthcare provider in this region, has been providing general healthcare services and also started specialized care services, so patients are able to access the basic care that they require in the various fields of health.
Kilimo cha kahawa na majani chai, kitega uchumi cha wakazi.
Wakati ule hakukuwa na pesa ya kulipa hospitali, hakukuwa na pesa ya kulipa shule, hakukuwa na pesa ya kulipa kanisani. Wakati kahawa ilikuja, haya mambo yote yalitendeka. Watu walipata pesa ya kulipa shule, wakapata pesa ya kulipa hospitali, na katika kanisa walipata pesa ya kulipa.
Yote haya yakiwa chini ya mwavuli wa kiroho wa kanisa la Kipresbiteri la Afrika Mashariki.
Safari imekuwa pada shuka. Disruption moja ilikuja wakati KCA ilileta mambo ya mabadiliko ya mzungu arudi kwao, atoke Kenya. Na hiyo ili affect hata hapa, kwa sababu watu wengine wetu karibu thuruthi mbili, 2/3 walitoka kanisa la Presbyterian.
Tunatarajia nguvu mpya ya kuendeleza kazi, kwa kuwa baada ya kuadhimisha miaka 100 ni kama tunaanza upya kazi ya umisheni upya. Kwa hivyo tuna matarajio makubwa ya kwamba mioyo ya watu itaweza kuelekezwa upya kwa ajili ya kutumika wakiwa na nguvu mpya.
Sherehe za maadhimisho haya zitakujia moja kwa moja hapa Kirk TV.
Karibuni nyote,
tuadhimishe pamoja.
Keep it Kirk now and going forward. We have a lot of family programs, and this being a Christian commercial station, we will partner with you as institutions, as individuals, so that we are able to reach out to the entire world. One person said that my parish is the entire world, and I believe that Kirk TV is going globally, and therefore bring your business. We are going to advertise it and also partner with you.
To partner with us, send your financial support to pay bill number 401-9613, account partner. Pay bill number 401-9613, account partner. Choose life that you may love the Lord your God.
If you delight yourself in the Lord, He will make you fruitful in whatever season you are in.
Listen to His voice and hold fast to Him.
That as disciples ourselves, we're being invited to be transformed more fully every single day.
In our walk with God, let us know that we are assured victory in every battle.
For the Lord is your life.
Live a pure life. Are you living a righteous life before the Lord? It is possible. People are wondering, can you do without corruption? Yes, I can stand and say it is possible to do without corruption.
Don't miss season 2 of the evening epilogue every day at 9:30 p.m. only on Kirk TV. We welcome your feedback on our programming. For questions or comments, kindly get in touch with us via email info@kirktv.org.
Are you looking to grow your business? Kirk TV offers you a variety of advertising opportunities to suit your budget. Advertise with us today and reach your potential customers countrywide. For more information, email us on sales@kirktv.org or call 011 00 90 647. Kaunti ya Meru, eneo la Chogoria, kitovu cha umisheni na upana la mashariki ya Kenya. Tangu mwaka 1922, miaka 100 baadaye, athari za watangulizi kama vile Dr. Clive Ivan na wenzake, matunda ya kazi yao, kumbukumbu tunazivuta. Ujio na makuzi ya elimu, maadamu kumsaidia Mwafrika kupiga teke ujinga.
Since we started diploma in nursing, we've been able to qualify more than 2,500 nurses.
Afya bora kwa wakazi, hospitali na vituo vya afya vinavyosifika kote.
Chogoria Hospital, as a main healthcare provider in this region, has been providing general healthcare services and also started specialized care services, so patients are able to access the basic care that they require in the various fields of health.
Kilimo cha kahawa na majani chai, kitega uchumi cha wakazi.
Wakati ule hakukuwa na pesa ya kulipa hospitali, hakukuwa na pesa ya kulipa shule, hakukuwa na pesa ya kulipa kanisani. Wakati kahawa ilikuja, haya mambo yote yalitendeka. Watu walipata pesa ya kulipa shule, wakapata pesa ya kulipa hospitali, na katika kanisa walipata pesa ya kulipa.
Yote haya yakiwa chini ya mwavuli wa kiroho wa kanisa la Kipresbiteri la Afrika Mashariki.
Safari imekuwa pada shuka. Disruption moja ilikuja wakati KCA ilileta mambo ya mabadiliko ya mzungu arudi kwao, atoke Kenya. Na hiyo ili affect hata hapa kwa sababu watu wengine wetu karibu thuruthi mbili, 2/3 walitoka kanisa la Presbyterian.
Tunatarajia nguvu mpya ya kuendeleza kazi kwa kuwa baada ya kuadhimisha miaka 100 ni kama tunaanza upya kazi ya umisheni upya. Kwa hivyo tuna matarajio makubwa ya kwamba mioyo ya watu itaweza kuelekezwa upya kwa ajili ya kutumika wakiwa na nguvu mpya.
Sherehe za maadhimisho haya zitakujia moja kwa moja hapa Kirk TV.
Karibuni nyote
tuadhimishe pamoja.
welcome back to Kirk Mid Morning, and thank you so much for keeping it right here. Definitely do keep interacting with us on our socials. That is Kirk TV Kenya on Facebook and on YouTube. Today we are talking about the situation of Kenyan domestic workers in Saudi Arabia, and to do this will be Lilian Tinyari, an investigation officer. This is at the office of the Ombudsman, and Odhiambo Ojiro Frederick, a rapid response officer at Haki Africa. But before we get on with the discussion, let's have a look at an interview I had earlier on with Daisy Wandia. This is a Kenyan in Saudi Arabia who shared with us her story and journey of how, she decided to work in Saudi Arabia, what led her to make that decision, and how the situation is for her. She just gives us insight on the situation, of course, at her place of work, as well as talk about other Kenyans over there who she interacts with and stories that she's had in Saudi Arabia. So let's listen into that earlier on interview before we get on with the discussion today. All right, I hope you are doing well, and thank you so much for joining us right here at Kirk Mid Morning. Indeed, the program is ongoing today. We want to look at the life of Kenyans living in Saudi Arabia, especially we are going to touch about domestic workers. A lot of stories have been on the media lately about mistreatment and abuse, and this, of course, is an issue that needs to be highlighted for change to happen. And we want to understand what is happening or what is going on there. And joining me right now is Daisy Wandia, a Kenyan in Saudi Arabia. Daisy, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
How's the day today? I understand bado ni asubuhi.
Yeah, but just it's too early to start work.
Okay. What time do you start?
Around 10 to 10:30. That's when I start.
All right. Daisy, unaanza kazi at around 10:30, and then how does your day look like? What do you do? Alafu unamaliza kazi kama
well, mine is just cleaning. So like I finish in 2 to 3 hours.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what do you do for the rest of the day?
Nothing. I just relax and feel free to TV. Yeah.
Oh, all right. So tell us how you first of all came to hear about Saudi Arabia, that they need workers, and what drove you to make that decision when in Saudi Arabia for work?
I decided to come to Saudi Arabia after the job I was in Kenya. It was not well paying, and given that the fact the economy is still too high and you have responsibilities, a lot of them, so I opted for the greener pastures here in the Gulf countries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Who told you about the opportunity?
Well, it's a friend of mine. I came through her agency, so she told me. I wasn't forced to come to Saudi. I came by myself, so I made the decision, and I just made my mind that I'll come, so I just came.
All right. Which year was this?
That was last year, October.
2021, October. Okay. So you visited the agency. You told them you want to work in Saudi. What processes were you taken through?
The process was just the medical attention to make that to ensure that you're healthy, like you're safe to work here, and then you have visa and the passport. That's just all.
Mm-hmm. Did you pay for anything, or the agency took care of anything that was required?
I didn't pay anything. The agency took care of it.
Okay. When we look back at stories of those who returned from Saudi, while some hospital, given an injection, how could you nini? But as they went on, they realized it's family planning.
No, I wasn't given any injection, just for the drawing of the blood for the test, nothing more.
Okay, injection.
Yeah, no injection.
Okay. So, did you inform your family about your decision to go work in Saudi?
Yeah, I informed. Actually, they were very supportive, and they still are.
Oh, okay. Okay, so they didn't have fears, considering the stories that we hear from there?
The fears were there, but then we just said we hope for the best. Yeah.
What about you?
Well, no, I'm that risk taker, so I was in for it. Yeah.
Okay. So you landed in Saudi from Kenya. First of all, did you sign your contract papers while in Kenya or in Saudi?
Well, we signed some in Kenya, and when we reached here, we signed the others in the office.
Okay, so there were two different contracts that you signed.
Yeah, but it's just the same thing.
Was it written in English?
Yeah, English.
Na ukaisoma yote ukaelewa?
Kabisa.
Ah, great. Okay. So after you landed in Saudi, what happened? Who picked you up? Where did you go?
The agency picked me up to the office, then my bosses came to pick me after 2 weeks because of the corona thing. So we had to stay indoors for a while before we go to work. Yeah.
Okay. And then after that?
Well, I've been with my bosses since then, so yeah, it's okay.
Oh, okay, good. And you've only worked for one boss till now?
Yeah.
How can you say the environment is?
The environment is okay, just for the harsh weather. The climate is too hot, so we rely on air conditioning almost all through. But it's good because you don't even walk in the sun, so you just indoors.
Okay. But currently, you haven't experienced any form of mistreatment?
No.
Okay. Now, the agency that took you there, do you know anyone else who also went to Saudi through the same agency?
Yeah, I have a few.
And how is their life as well? Were they received well? Are they doing well?
Yeah, they're doing great. We talk all the time. Yeah, they are fine. Not mistreatments. All okay. Yeah.
I believe you are aware of several stories of mistreatment, abuse, Kenyan domestic workers in Saudi. Recently, we had Chefi Boy, who was brought back in the country, and she gave her story. Your story is different, and I'm happy to hear that, and happy for you as well. But let's talk about Kenyans who have a different tale from Saudi Arabia. Where do you think the problem is? Is it with the agency, inaanzianga huku Kenya na agency, or would we say it's on them? Probably they misbehaved.
Well, I might say maybe the agencies, not everyone is good, and also the employers, not 100% of them are good, because even in Kenya we have some who mistreat their workers, and so they experience the bad side of the story are the 1% who go to the employers who are not good, because 99%, I believe, we are many Kenyan workers in Saudi, and just a few tell the sad story of the sad side of the story. So the 1% might be not good, but the 99% are okay. Yeah.
Okay, but you say there are also agencies wengine wenye they would say they're corrupt or they don't follow the right path.
Not really being corrupt, but like, ukipata shida unaambia, but they just you.
They ignore.
Yeah, they just ignore. Yeah.
The agency.
Communicate, and she asks about work every now and then. Yeah, we communicate. Yeah.
Okay, great. Now, stories pia zimesemwa about Kenyans who are rude when they go to Saudi, because they say Kenyan workers are rude, they don't follow instructions, they are not well prepared, they don't know how, or rather they don't meet the demands of the employer. So maybe washing vizuri, ama hujui kutumia washing machine. Do you think, pengine inachangia those cases of abuse?
Yeah, one thing with Saudi na kupiga character development. So, you have to unamurudi chini juu. A 2-year-old can command you, and you have to do that no matter what. Ukiamua ngumu, or maybe unataka kujifanya. In Kenya sikuwa naambiwa hivi na mtoto then nafanya, but you're far away from your land, and it's when you go to Romans, you do like the Romans, so you have to obey. Yeah, it is abroad, by the way. You know, there are different tempers of people. Na si kila mtu na approach vile ulikuwa na approach watu Kenya. So maybe that inachangia. Yeah.
Okay. Kwa Wakenya wenye wana Saudi, what can you tell them?
Well, you just, if you're a risk taker like me, or you just wanna have a good life, just put your mind, like, have a goal when you come in Saudi. Alafu ujue, character development lazima utachapwa. So, be ready to change for anything. Like, you know, they say change which is constant. So, you have to. So, if you're ready to come to Saudi, then just and be ready, like, feeling.
Okay. All right. Okay. There's a question here, Daisy. When you approach your agency, kabla you went to Saudi, of course, kulikuwa na hizo test and all that. Did you undergo any kind of training?
No, I did not train in Kenya. I trained in Saudi, but still there are some who trained in Kenya. There are schools in Kenya, so I don't know about the training in Kenya.
Okay, so for you, you landed in Saudi, and then you underwent training before, before sasa kupelekwa where you work.
Yeah. You.
Okay. Training in Saudi, what were you?
House chores, like
they get my internet. Check on it, and we'll get to hear your answer. Okay, now you're back. So what did you undergo through? What were you taught?
The basics for me, because I've never done the household chores, like I was painting. I was taught how to iron because I didn't know how to iron. But some basics like washing machine and vacuuming. Yeah, that's all. Yeah, you just taught how to clean the air conditioning, the windows. It's the basics too.
Yeah. All right. Do you still have your papers? This is the visa, the passport, or were they taken away?
No, I still have mine. I keep mine. Like I have all my passports and visa.
Okay. Give us a range of how much Kenyan domestic worker earns in Saudi, because I understand a lot of them go there hoping for greener pastures.
Well, it ranges from, let's say, 30K to around 60, yeah, in between.
Okay. Yeah. All right, great. If you to look at the issues that have been facing Kenyan domestic workers in Saudi about, of course, mistreatment and abuse, a lot of them say the Kenyan embassy doesn't help at all. Probably, do you have any experience with the Kenyan embassy? Have you reached out to them? Or do you know friends who Saudi? Okay. Nasai, unanisikia?
Yeah, nakusikia.
Okay, great. So my question is, that when they were faced with challenges, and reached out to the Kenyan, do you know friends or do you have experience as well with reaching out to the Kenyan embassy?
Well, I don't have any. I've never reached the embassy, and I don't have any friend who has experienced a problem. Okay. But from those who talk the stories on social media, there might be a problem. So, yeah, but I've never experienced it.
Okay. How often do you get out of the house?
Well, maybe let's say weekly, maybe once. Yeah, you just stroll around for fresh air.
All right. Yeah. All right, Daisy, thank you so much for talking to us. My final question will be to the government of Kenya, what would be your advice in terms of kuhakikisha we don't have cases of Kenyans who are abused or who are even killed in Saudi?
Well, I just hope Mr. President will reform the offices in the embassies and all the things, because sometimes you just say the embassy didn't respond or this did this, and until at least ensure the safety of Kenyans in Saudi. In the some of are killed or tortured, it's decrease in the returns for the tax, I mean. So yeah, the president might just look into the office and make the reforms, the required reforms to ensure our safety.
Okay, good, Daisy. Do you miss home?
Sorry?
Do you miss home? You've been there since October 2021. How is it like?
Yeah, the first 3 months homesick ilikuwa cash. Yeah, it was too much, but I got used to it. I still miss home, but I have to hold on for a better tomorrow.
Yeah.
I talk with my mom, my daughter, and my sisters, my friends over there. So yeah, I miss home a lot. You know, they said, oh, east or west home is the best. Yeah.
Great. When are you likely to come back to Kenya?
Most likely 2024, early 2024, I'll be back.
All right. Thank you, Daisy. We all the best. We are glad to hear your. It's encouraging. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All the best as well.
Thank you.
Daisy Wadia, a Kenyan in Saudi Arabia, of course, her turn is different, but indeed it is notable that he received training, signed 2 different pairs of contract, one in Kenya, one in Saudi, both written in English, so she understood what she was signing or agreeing to. And 21 is still working in Saudi, currently under the same employer who received her very first time. It is quite encouraging to hear her story. So we see, but today at Kirk Mid Morning, we plan to tackle, that in Kenyans in a very risky situation, if I might say so, because we've received several under mysterious circumstances in Saudi Arabia, and we've back with that discussion. Joining me will be Lilian Tinyari, investigation of a rapid response officer at Haki Africa. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Oh. Kidogo too, I don't know, you need the note to talk to you or
we'll talk later.
All right, sawa. Yeah. Okay, niambie goodbye na Kiarabu. Do you know any?
A lot.
How do you say goodbye?
Masalama.
Masalama.
Yeah.
Okay, masalama, Daisy.
Masalama, baby.
Bye. All right, that was an interview I had earlier on with Daisy, a Kenyan living in Saudi, who just gave us her story, shared with us her journey to how she landed in Saudi Arabia, as well as the environment at her work of place. Today on Kirk Mid Morning, we're seeking to talk more about the situation of Kenyan domestic workers in Saudi Arabia. And to have this discussion with me is Odhiambo Ojiro, who is a rapid response officer at Haki Africa. Thank you so much, Mr. Ojiro, for being here. And at the very far end is Lilian Tinyari, an investigation officer at the Office of the Ombudsman. Thank you as well for making time and being here today. Karibuni sana. Before we get to our discussion, allow me to give you the chance to introduce yourselves to our viewers this morning. We'll start with you, Ojiro.
Yes, thank you so much for the opportunity to come and engage fellow citizens and the world on this issue of domestic migrant workers in the Middle East. My name is Odhiambo Ojiro Frederick. I'm the Rapid Response Officer at TAC Africa.
All right, thank you. Lillian?
My name is Lillian Tinyari. I'm an investigations officer at the Office of Ombudsman or Commission on Administrative Justice.
Great. I believe this is a very timely discussion we need to have. Before we went on the air, Ojiro was telling me we need to be honest with each other when having this discussion today, and I couldn't agree more, because indeed we're here to do just that. And you who's watching us, if you have any feedback, questions or comments, leave them on our social media pages, that is CAC TV Kenya on Facebook and YouTube, and we'll have a look at them as we continue with this discussion. But before we do that, Lillian, let me allow you to give us a brief of the report that was released this week regarding the findings and recommendations. Yes.
So, just to start with, to appreciate the mandate of our institution, the Office of Ombudsman is an oversight institution, or a Commission on Administrative Justice. This is an office that is established under the Constitution of Kenya under Article 59, and also it's a constitutional commission under Chapter 15 of the Constitution. Also, we are created by the Commission on Administrative Justice to oversight public institution in regards to maladministration and access to information. Now, when we talk of maladministration, is where we are looking into issues that affect service delivery or bad governance. In this case, we look into issues like delay, discourtesy in public offices, unresponsiveness, and all that. In regards to access to information, it is where we are seeing the public institution hold public information and they need to release it to the Kenyans for enjoyment and protection of people's rights. So to achieve our mandates, we normally handle our mandates in 3 ways. One is through inquiry. This is where we receive basic complaints like delay and all that. Another way of dealing with maladministration or access to information mandate, it is through alternative dispute resolution, where we bring the complainants and the parties complained against together to try and come up with a resolution. Then the third way of achieving a mandate is investigations, where we normally have specific investigations and systemic investigation. So just from the one specific investigation, it is where the complaints are against a specific institution or against an individual. And in this case, when I talk of an individual, it's a public officer. Let's talk of the MD, the managing directors, or any director at an institution. Then for systemic investigations, where this issue of Saudi Arabia fall in, it is where we interrogate the systems in place in public offices. So for systemic, it's here we are saying the complaint is not against any person. The complaint is, it is where we've received a number of complaints in regards to a service issue. So then we get into to interrogate as a commission just to understand what is the problem. And in this case, we might be having the systems in place. It is where we are saying since there is a complaint, this complaint might point to a systemic gap. So in this case, just to get to the issue of Saudi Arabia, as a commission, from last year, from 2019, 2020, 2020, 2021, and 2022, we noted that Kenyans were complaining. And when I talk of Kenyans, it's Kenyans who had gone to work in Saudi Arabia, their next of kin or their parent here in Kenya. So as a commission, we felt it is very important to get to this issue, to understand what was causing this complaint and all that, since all of them were allegations, claims, and all that. So we launched or commenced our investigations in October last year, 2021, where as per the Constitutive Act, which is the Commission on Administrative Justice, it expects us to notify the institution or the relevant institution. And in this case, for the systemic investigation into the plight of Kenyan migrant domestic workers in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, we notified the Ministry of Labor, the CS Labor. And in our investigations, we interacted with a number of relevant institutions that are involved in the issue of migration. And in this case, we interacted with National Employment Authority, which is a parastatal under the ministry, National Industrial and Training Authority. We interacted with Commissioner of Labor, which falls under the ministry. We interacted with Immigration Department because of the passport issuance and also the clearance at the airport. We also interacted with Foreign Affairs because of the embassy in Saudi Arabia or even their foreign aspect or their mandate. How we did it, apart from interacting with them, when I'm saying interacting, it's where we interviewed officers from those institutions. So apart from interviewing them and getting information, we also came across the documents that relate in this field of immigration. And when I talk of documents, I'm referring to the guidelines these relevant institutions have issued. For example, you find if it's National Employment Authority, they have issued guidelines in regards to private employment agencies. And another key stakeholder interacted with, it is the private employment agencies. These are agencies that have been registered by National Employment Authority to facilitate the movement of our girls from Kenya to Saudi Arabia. Apart from the private employment agencies, we also interacted with former domestic workers, ladies who had previous experience, who have returned from Saudi Arabia, and they're able to share with us their experiences. So the investigation report is composed of all those government departments, the private employment agencies, and domestic workers in Saudi Arabia. Apart from those, we also did desktop research, where we noted as a commission that other parties have worked around this whole issue of Saudi Arabia. So we took note of all that information, and this informed our findings. Maybe from that, apart from that, we also interacted with the legal framework. That's the constitution that gives us the right to employment, or the labor, all the economic, social, and cultural rights. We also looked at the Commission on Administrative Justice that give us the investigative powers and all that. We also looked at the various laws that guide this relevant institution, like the National Employment Authority Act, National Industrial Training Act, the foreign policy. Also, apart from the national laws, we also looked at the international conventions that gives guidelines or set standards in regards to migration or labor rights. Apart from that, we looked, apart from the legal framework, also so that our work to be guided. So that was some of the legal framework that guided us, and of course the Employment Act, the Labor Institution Act, the Labor Regulations 2016, just to understand all this, since the whole issue is guided by those laws.
So it was extensive.
It was comprehensive. It was involving. That's why we see it was a complex investigation. And I mean, we're looking at the system, the existing systems. Now, some of the findings.
Now, before the findings, just hold on, Kidogo. I'd like to go to Mr. Ojiro, because he mentioned that, of course, he works directly with Kenyans who are domestic workers in Saudi Arabia and other places. Let's focus with Saudi, and especially if talked with those who have experienced abuse. Tell us how, how's the situation? How many girls are you in touch with currently?
Thank you. Before I answer that, I want to appreciate the work that my sister here, on behalf of the Ombudsman, is doing to give us a good document. What they are calling us, how do you call it?
The title is A Report on Systemic Investigation into the Plight of Kenya Migrant Domestic Workers in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
Good, it's a report. And the reports, we need to engage with the report as the public, as actors, so that we see that at the end of the day, all these reports do not count. All these talk shows do not count if at the bottom line they don't bring justice. So as an organization, we are perturbed that the Saudi and the Middle East issue did not start yesterday. It has been an issue even during the time of Moi being in power, Kibaki being in power, Uhuru being in power, and now Ruto being in power. But it's worth noting that now the Ombudsman has come up with a report now. The Ombudsman has been in existence since we got our new constitution. And having from Howard's, she has brought on board all these relevant state and non-state actors and institutions that are in the front line and mandated to give compelling and insightful information with regards to our girl. As we digest this, the question is, when are our girls coming back home? Because we have got 200 girls at Sakan. We have got 56 girls at exit 9, Riyadh. How is this report and the statements being made, the careless statements being made by state officers, relevant to their safety and security and their returning back home? Because we believe that not all Kenyans have got the legal understanding like them. What Kenyans know is that we voted in a new government. This government was voted in by virtue that they made pledges. And people interrogated them. And people chose to give them a fresh mandate. And in summary, what people simply want is public goods and services. And in this instance, what Kenyans want is that can their safety and security be safeguarded in any part of the world? So my sister here, I'll be humbly requesting her to go ahead and tell us that as an institution that is like more of supervisory, that will want to check if state institutions and agencies are complying, you know, are offering services and goods with respect to certain thresholds, standards. She also need to tell us to what extent have they gone in having conversations with these institutions in making sure that we bring back our girls, then we make those other discussions and good English and legal provisions and stakeholders later.
Right.
The most important things here is our women, our sisters, our mothers, our girls are stuck in Saudi Arabia. I will show you a WhatsApp message sent to me in the morning. It's a very painful WhatsApp message from Riyadh. And the lady is saying a very simple word. Frederick, we still have got hopes in you. Do whatever you can. As we are here, we have got no pads. These are not fixtures. I will show you. I will share it now, and I want you to read it. We have got no pads. We have not eaten for a long time. There is no water to drink. We are being beaten up. In fact, we have lost a Ugandan lady. The same lady did me a WhatsApp yesterday of a young Kenyan who was beaten up by police officers. And she's in a coma. And the ladies reacted. They ganged up and they burnt the chairs in that deportation camp. It is all over the world in the news. Now, is it time to share reports? Is it time to mention the legal provisions? Is it time to have lengthy discussions? Or is it time to bring back our girls home? So you need to advise us that in the opportune of time, in the wake of things, in the situation of our sisters and girls, wherever they are,
Right.
what must we do now? Must we be hiding, operating incognito, and then wake up with a report? When our sisters cannot afford a meal, when they are being beaten, when they are going through sexual gender-based violence, when they are curtailed from communicating with their people back in the village, when they are underpaid? Or should the government agencies and institutions come together with other relevant stakeholders like the media, like human rights organizations, like KUDEA, the workers union, and say, what must we do now to bring back dignity to our girls?
Right. What must we do to bring back dignity?
Exactly.
I like how you speak very passionately of the situation of on how you communicate with them currently, where they receive mistreatment. Still, they run away at the deportation center, and they're still being mistreated even there. And we'll be coming to that. But right now, I wanted you to bring in the perspective of what is currently happening before we get to hear about the findings and see whether, you know, we are in agreement with what is happening. So Lillian, tell us, according to the report, what were the findings? Very briefly.
We've noted that as a government, when it comes to labor laws, we have different labor laws: Employment Act, Labor Institution Act, Labor Regulations 2016. And also, as a government, we have a bilateral labor agreement between our government and the government of Saudi Arabia. And in that bilateral labor agreement, the whole reason or the whole objective of it was to take care of the interests of the employers and the employees. And the employees, in this case, we are talking of the Kenyan domestic workers.
Right.
Also, apart from the bilateral labor agreement, we have noted that as a country, the different departments, that's the National Employment Authority, the Commissioner for Labor, the Immigration Department, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we've noted as one of the findings that National Employment Authority has some data in regards to their mandate. And then the Commissioner of and when I talk of in regards to their mandate, remember we said they're the one who does licensing of private employment agencies. So, and at some point, the National Employment Authority does approvals of the jobs orders from Saudi Arabia. So what I'm saying is that they have data in regards to the approved contract, and also some girls, that's our girls that have gone to Saudi Arabia. And this regard, remember, after maybe just to give you the process, then I'll be able to explain to you the findings. We noted that after licensing of these private employment agencies by NEA, these girls are taken through home care management training, where you are taught the whole thing about domestic work in Saudi Arabia. You are taught the customs, the way of life in Saudi Arabia, since it is different from what we are used to in Kenya. Then this NITA, the National Industrial Training Authority, after training, they'll issue the certificate to these girls, which is a key requirement before attestation by the Commissioner for Labor. And again, as I said, the Immigration Department, they issue passport and clearance at the airport. So you find all these institutions have the data in regards to their roles, all functions. So as a government, you've noted that we don't have accurate data. And that is one of our findings. And another thing I said is that we have an existing bilateral labor agreement between us and the Saudi Arabia government. And in that, another finding from that agreement is that some of the provisions in the agreement have not been implemented. And these provisions were meant to protect the domestic workers in Saudi Arabia. So, and at some point I'll talk as a commission that we have recommended for further implementation of those agreements. And also we noted that even some of the provision in the agreements that have been implemented, they are not fully, they have not been, it is partial implementation, they are not fully implemented. So we are saying let them be implemented so as to protect the rights of these girls. So apart from that lack of accurate data and having different laws or fragmented way of dealing with this whole issue of migration to Saudi Arabia, we've noted that also there is a disconnect between the approval by NEA and the Commission of Labor, where after you've been given a go-ahead to just proceed to Saudi Arabia, you'll find this contract, after the lady has signed a contract, all the potential domestic workers signed a contract. Remember, in signing that contract or even approval by NEA, it is about checking that the terms of the contract are compliant with all. It is the standard. We have a standard employment contract. They are compliant with the Employment Act, with all those labor laws. So you find when you go for attestation at the Commission of Labor, attestation is where they check your documents to make sure that you have a training certificate, you have signed the standard employment contract, you have a medical records, and you have a visa. Now, so that they give you a go-ahead to proceed for clearance at the airport. Yes. So you've also noted there is that disconnect between approval by NEA and Commission of Labor. Again, we have noted there is a disconnect, again, between Commission of Labor and those who are cleared at immigration, such that you might find someone has been denied attestation at the Commission of Labor, but then they managed to pass or to be cleared at the airport. Reason being, after approval by NEA, your contract, and before, maybe to mention that the contracting is done through an electronic system, where if NEA approves, it becomes active. So one is able to be cleared at the airport to proceed. So these are some of the findings we've noted, and we've recommended on what should be done to ensure these gaps are dealt with, to tighten or even to strengthen the existing protective measures. And one of the things in regards to lack of accurate data, we are telling the Office of the President to come up with a multi-agency where the approvals can be done from one platform, since at his, the approvals are done independently by various departments. So apart from that, having a multi-system platform, we are also telling, and another plus as a government we've done, that we have the draft labor migration management bill, a bill that is at the drafting stage, and this bill is meant to cure all these issues we have noted. In fact, to inform you is that that bill will solve some of the issues or some of the systemic gaps we have noted, and what is not captured or covered in the bill, we have proposed as a commission and given solution that this is what should be done. So I believe when those are taken into consideration, then we'll strengthen our protective measures. So apart from that bill, also we've talked in regards to the bilateral labor agreement. And we also have done some recommendation to National Employment Authority, since they're the ones who regulate the private employment agencies. We've recommended them how can they improve on their monitoring system. Another thing we noted as a commission, it is that the regulator of these private employment agencies, I mean, before this bill, there is a weak enforcement, or there is a weak enforcement mechanism, that the law does, the existing law before this bill does not give them the powers to deal with this. But I'm happy to say that the bill is proposing punitive measures that are likely to improve the regulation of the supervision, even the calling of accountability to these employment agencies. Apart from that, yes?
No, you're talking about gaps to be filled, systematic gaps, which I think is a step that needs to happen indeed.
Yes.
But here comes the question, will these systematic gaps, systemic gaps, thank you, help in ensuring that, you know, the situation of Kenyans, domestic workers, especially in Saudi, has been improved?
Yeah, I believe they will assist that. And just to answer what he raised, he talked about these commissions, the oversight bodies and all these organizations coming together and releasing report. And I'm happy to report to you that when we were launching this report on Monday, we had invited KUDHEA, Kenya National Commission on Human Rights. We had invited Kenya Human Rights Commission, the NGO one. We also had invited LSK. We had invited Kituo cha Sheria, Katiba Institute. We had invited the relevant departments, the one we had interviewed. We had also invited one of the returnee or the former domestic worker. We had interacted in the course of this. And I'm happy to report that all these institutions committed to work together to ensure that our recommendations or our proposals or the solutions that we brought out, that they are implemented and we achieve in this field. So I think from what the stakeholders promised, and also I believe we are getting somewhere.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Ojiro.
Yeah, I
what
would
do you
want
make
to
of that?
just inquire, because it needs practicality. Does the promise have got time frames? who takes responsibility. Those are very important aspects that you need to bring to on board.
Yes.
But having done very good legal narration, I think we need to know, and she knows, that the situation of the domestic immigrant workers do not only need legal improvement on our end. She knows that. The situation of domestic immigrant workers in the Middle East needs a political solution. She knows that. Needs diplomatic persuasion. It needs the world coming together, speaking in one voice boldly, looking at the problem straight in its eye and saying, you are wrong on this. She is speaking of the legal intentions that needs to be drafted and put into practice. But you are aware of a senior state officer who was castigating our girls, that the reason why they are suffering in Saudi Arabia is because they are disrespectful, is because they are not complying, is because they have refused to adapt.
They do not meet the employer's standards.
Now, can you link that statement to what she's narrating here? It doesn't.
Well,
so from where we sit, they have to go on with the tying the knots on the legal provisions as they are doing, but they must not stop there, because we believe that as they work on this, there is something of urgency. The something of urgency, if today I am your daughter or your son or your relative, and I tell you, mommy, sister, I am stranded at Kencom. I want to get back home. It's running late. Do you start talking about the hike in bus fare? Do you start talking about the jam? Or you facilitate me to reach home, and then we look at the underlying issues. Now, she has talked about the bilateral agreements, but she's not telling you that those bilateral agreements are not specific to migrant workers.
Can I respond to that?
Sure, Lillian.
Let me just finish.
Yeah.
What we know, that there is no specific law that governs the issue of domestic immigrant workers. The bilateral agreement also is at the discretion of that country. Kenyan government cannot compel them to implement or to fulfill. From where we sit, based on the facts and the data, she mentioned about the big names that she invited. She was shy to tell us how many women or girls she interviewed from Saudi Arabia, because that will tell the real issue. From where we sit, it is a question of racism. It is a question of discrimination. It is a question of the mindset. The way, and we are not shy from saying this in a national TV, it is the way the Arabs in those countries perceive our people here. They see us as sons and daughters of a lesser God. That is what we must deal with. And the other issue that we must deal with, it is the issue of complacent of our government officials, the diplomatic corps in Saudi that have now become part of the business. They have turned into agents. You know, it is this team that have now been compromised by the employers, by these criminals that have put our girls into this kind of bad situation. So yes, we are happy that they are speaking legal and doing a whole booklet and a report. But the truth of the matter is,
the issue of the girls in Saudi Arabia will first be tackled from the political perspective. Let Mr. President Dr. William Samoei Ruto stand tall and say, I promised that freedom is coming. And the issue of our migrant workers, our girls in Saudi Arabia, I am engaging with whoever, whether it's a king or whoever, I am engaging in my counterpart to make sure that our girls who are in prisons, I don't know if she knows that our girls are in prison, and I will give the name of the prisons and the number there. As a commission, she must be having that. How many of our girls are in the prison? So we expect that the president, through his watu wa mkono, his handlers, will reach out to the counterparts in Saudi so that our girls and women who are in detention camps, who are in prisons, who are in holding centers, who are in deportation centers, who are suffering in specific homes of the employers, will be rescued. That is the true solution. After doing that, then we must now ask ourselves, what must we do from the legal perspective to bring an end, to fix it once and for all. She's talking about a report which looks nice. I've not read it.
I think you should.
I will read it. As a government, she's not telling us hundreds of thousands are suffering. The day I started campaigning about Diana Chepkemoi, you are aware of that?
Yes.
You know what happened there? When Diana ran away from the employer, she went to a holding center in Sakan. She found 30 other Kenyans, 26 Ugandans. But you know what the Kenyan government did? Because of the pressure here, and because of what I may not want to mention here, the directive was go for Diana Chepkemoi. So they went for Diana, and Diana had got other Kenyans, and they wanted to bring Diana alone. What did the other girls do, like Joy? They hold on Diana. They said, she's not going alone, we are going together. And because of the pressure and the expose, these other Kenyans had to come back. Good legal provisions, but look at the character and the intention of the state. So the other girls came not because we have got a legal provision or a policy which works for them. It's because there was pressure and they had just to come back home. Now, when they had reached the airport, we had got two other bodies who came as, you know, yes, luggage. Eh? One had their families waiting for them. The other one had no family waiting for them. The same day, there were over 100 girls at the airport. I don't know if you watched the clip, who were traveling. I think Citizen or Kenyans did a story about them. That as Diana is talking about Saudi and has been rescued back, there are more than 100 now at the airport traveling. Has your report mentioned something about that? Yeah. So, what we are saying, let's bring back all the girls and women who are stuck. It does not need a legal provision to do that. It only needs diplomatic persuasion and political goodwill from the leadership. Then, let's stop any other further exportation of labor to this country or to the Middle East. Sort out a few things here. Put frameworks, you know, guidelines, so that it can now facilitate. When we do that, as they continue with their legal narration, then I think we will be fair, we will be just to our girls and women. As I conclude, before you give another opportunity, we all know that the reason that there is nobody with expertise who will want to go and work in the Middle East. Very few. It is not a destination for us. People go there as the last option. There is no any other better opportunity locally or in another place. Going to Saudi Arabia and the Middle East only tells us that the Kenya government must create jobs locally.
Right.
That the Kenyan government must ask themselves, what is the category and the class, because we want to be honest, of our girls going to the Middle East. There are very few graduates there. Most of them are primary dropouts, from full leavers, you know. And they are going there like Diana was a student at the university, you know that?
Yeah.
She had to drop out because of lack of school fees, and she could not survive paying the hostel and the bills. Let us not go around. Let us look at the real issues and say there are 10 issues, we are fixing this. Yes, we are fixing the legal issue, we're also fixing employment issue. We are also fixing, you know, the political good, because what Kenyans lack is political goodwill. I told you that I have 2 girls that are dead. You know why they're dead? They ran away from their employer. They went straight to the embassy. The embassy turned them away. So they were stopped at the gate. So what happened? The employer came, had a secret discussion with the officers there, then forcefully handed them over to the employer. It didn't take 2 weeks. Washira, from Nyeri, I went to visit the family. You know, Emali. So tell me, does that need legal? Character, morals, values, and there are documented complaints and allegations. Have they been investigated?
Right.
Have they been investigated? The ladies could be lying. The girls could be cheeky, as the government official was mentioning. But has that cheekiness been interrogated? Can the government give a position based on these allegations? So let us be honest. Let us go beyond our salary, our nice offices, our terms and references of our jobs. Let us look at humanity. Let us ask ourselves, are we Kenyans? If it was your own daughter, your own sister, your only sister, who is now WhatsApping me and telling me, I don't have pads. I have not drank water for the last 1 month. I am sick, no medication. We are being beaten up for exposing this situation. Could you still be doing legal? By now, she will be doing shuttle diplomacy.
Right, calling out leaders where they're supposed to, and I believe that's how it's supposed to be. You've spoken about employment, which of course was part of what I wanted us to discuss about. If then that was looked into in the country, would we still have very big numbers of our young girls going to Saudi Arabia looking for work? But Lillian, there's a response you wanted to give. Yes, earlier on.
I just wanted to say from our investigations, we noted it is true that, and you had asked whether we interacted with former domestic workers, and this is just to report to us that we interacted with 2 former domestic workers, all Itani, and one from Eldoret and experienced abuses, and this regards, she talked of physical abuse, sexual abuse, deprivation of sleep, food, imprisonment or deportation, as he had said before she was brought back. And again, this is to agree that there are those abuses. Apart from that one, we also talked with another lady from Meru County, and she reported that for her the experience was good. She was okay with the employer, the environment was okay, and as a government, this is to say that it is not all who have experienced the abuses. We have a few who have earned a good life there. They did their work and came back in the country well and good. So I agree that we have also noted that those abuses, and we think we believe that when all these recommendations are followed and implemented as per the commitment we got on Monday, then as a country we are likely to get it right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talk about the bilateral labor agreement, which of course you mentioned is private. It has not been made public for us to know what was agreed upon.
Yeah.
And also not specific.
And not specific.
Not specific to domestic workers.
Yeah. Okay. So let me respond to that on the bilateral labor agreement. This is to report that the bilateral labor agreement is in public. It is an agreement between our government and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And when you look at the agreement, it takes interest of both the employer and the employee. It gives duties to the government of Saudi Arabia and to the government of Kenya. That all these are meant to improve or to strengthen the rights of the workers and also the employer, of course. The employers use their money to bring the girl to take the girl to Saudi Arabia. So they expect also to get value for their money. That's when we can agree on that. So when he says that the labor agreement, I agree that some of the provisions have not been implemented. That one I agree. And just to, like the agreement talks of a joint working committee between the two governments. That one, I can say that it has not been constituted, and it was of the things that, as an oversight commission, we are saying let the Ministry of Labour look into that to ensure that that committee sits down annually to look at what is happening and maybe take care of emerging issues or trends to ensure that the rights are taken care of. I agree with that. And again, something else that we noted in the bilateral labor agreement, it is in the standard contract. It has a standard contract that talks about termination of contract between the two. I can see that one favors the employer more than our Kenyan girl. And as a commission, we have seen that the Ministry of Labour need to look into that to ensure that, just as what happens in Kenya, that both the employer and the employee have equal rights in terms of termination of a notice, like when you want to terminate the contract. And apart from that, also as a commission, what we have noted is the salary issue, looking like what other countries have done. In fact, in our report, we have brought out best practices from other countries, and one of the countries we've really looked into the Philippines. We are saying that where our Kenyan girls are working, they are working with the ones from Philippines. They are doing the same nature of work, the same nature of working hours and all that. We want to say for that one, in terms of salary, they are paid higher than our girls. And as a commission, we are telling the government to look into this. And again, something you had talked about our foreign affairs, or even at the embassy, the consular services. We also done recommendation to the Ministry of Affairs, especially the embassy. We are telling them, let them do a routine or a proactive diplomatic initiatives to ensure that when our girls are in there, let them be taken care of. And something else maybe to mention to you is that as we talk, when a domestic worker gets to Saudi Arabia, registering with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is voluntary. But I have to report that in the Labor Migration Management Bill, it has been made compulsory, such that if a girl gets to Saudi Arabia also and fails to report, then they can also be held accountable. Like even before you get to Saudi Arabia, report with the National Employment Authority. Also, the bill is also giving them a duty to report, so that in case of any distress or a complaint, then as a government, we are able to come to your rescue. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I just want to add something on what she said. I think she's doing well. And she's becoming also very honest in this conversation. But let us look at two things here. We have got the diplomatic corps in Saudi Arabia who are paid, serviced by the taxpayers' money. The money that comes from this girl who is a domestic worker. We have got incidences of these girls reaching out to the embassy. Let's leave out the employer here, the agents. Let's look at them as selfish institutions. Let's look at the state, the government. And a taxpayer, a citizen, reaches out to you in a foreign land where you are the only hope, friend, next of kin, family member, and then you do not respond. It is not a question of the law. It is a question of character and morality and responsibility. So when dealing with this issue, one of the things that we are pushing and demanding, that let there be an overhaul.
Let there be
an overhaul. And those individuals that have been mentioned for misconduct and misbehavior, they must be investigated. Having said that, this report could be a good report, but in any research, the issue of quantitative analysis is key. You cannot talk about the Middle East problem, Saudi, and you interview 2 girls who are returnees. It pokes hole into the credibility of the data. So you cannot talk about the report taking an authoritative position of the state of immigrant workers in Saudi, and you speak to 2 girls on behalf of 500 girls, or 500,000 girls, or 300, you know.
Can I respond to that?
Because she mentioned that they spoke to 2 girls, one in, was it in Mary or where?
One a returnee,
yes,
and the other one in.
It's also a returnee.
It's also
Can I
returnee.
add also that?
I think
on the bit for data.
Let me
just respond on the bit for data.
And then you respond.
Yeah.
Because to us it is not representative. It's not representative. Because she has given you an analysis of the payment gap.
Yes.
Hasn't she?
She has, very well.
Between the Kenyan immigrant workers and the
Philippines.
Why did she do that? Because they did a check and they said, we have got maybe 500,000 Philippines working in the Middle East, in Saudi Arabia. We've checked on their salary. 80% or 70% of them is paid this modest salary. We've looked at our girls. Not 1%. A huge percentage is being paid this money. So you're able to give a comparative analysis. Now, how does a comparative analysis look like when you only interview 2 people?
Lillian wanted to say something.
Let me just respond to the issue of data.
Yes.
I would want to say that as a commission, apart from the girls we interviewed or the former returnees, we also did desktop review where we reviewed what has been reported by the various media stations. And these are Gazette. We've done a number of stories in our report, more than 8. And that is where we got the experiences, where I said that there are various forms of abuses they have gone through. So it's not only the interview that we conducted, we also did review of past research. Even there are people who have worked around this issue of Saudi Arabia as students, people who have researched, given recommendations. I mean, it's not a new field. That's what we noted. Like so many institutions have worked around this, Kenyans have worked around this, media stations have reported around this, and we went through all that. And that's what informed our report. It's not only the 2 girls we interviewed.
I was speaking in good faith because I just wanted you to understand that as any researcher, you cannot authoritatively come out with a report and say that we only interviewed 2 individuals who were directly
I hear you,
involved and rely on the literature review and desktop review.
Okay,
As a researcher,
let's not focus on the
Yeah,
research.
yeah.
The research is out, you
Yeah.
know already. Let's read it. Of course, what you're saying is key as well. You've been able to express very well. I think moving forward now, what Mr. Ojiro is saying should be put into consideration. If we are to release any other report or do investigation as well, there's an issue you touched on, which I think we need to talk about the employer sponsoring the costs,
Yeah.
you know, the travel cost and all.
Yeah.
And when the employee arrives, they feel they do not meet my standard.
Yeah.
This is not what I paid for.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this. Could this be one of the factors that is leading to the mistreatment, the physical
Yeah.
abuse? Yes, let's talk about that.
Okay.
Mhm.
To me, I would request you to reframe the question. It is not the employer meeting the costs of travel. It is modern day slavery. And I want to explain this, how this is happening. A young girl in a small village in Ukwala, Siaya County, western part of this republic, sees an advert that is written, jobs available. In that advert, there is misinformation. It does not talk about Saudi. It does not mention Lebanon. It does not mention Syria. It talks about Qatar and other countries. The girl is told, just come to our offices. We will help you get secure job. And what happens? The agents tell her, we will facilitate you get a passport. If you don't have an ID, we will facilitate you get an ID. Help you get a passport. Cater for your medical costs. Support your stay at the hostel to go through the trainings. You know? Then they give you, you agree, you go through the process, and the passport is out, they take care of the visa, the medical report is out, and you are ready to travel. Three things that happen. The agents do not give you your passport. They keep it for you. The second thing that happens, they give you a contract to sign. You are a lay person. You don't understand the legal provisions of that contract. But because of our poverty syndrome, you rush into the signing. When you travel, they say you are not exposed, so you can't travel alone. And moreover, you are many. We will give you one of our officers from the agency to go with you. He takes care of all your traveling documents. You do not know where you are going. Somebody else know. You land there. When you land there, they tell you, you know, we took you through the process, the trainings, the culture, you know, how to wash, how to cook and all those. So once we reach here, the destination, they are also supposed to just do a counter check and do some like, you know, try again to just refresh your mind if you really remember what you were taken through when in Kenya. It take like another 1 week or 2 weeks. But as you are there, there was no job that was waiting for you in Saudi when you were traveling to Saudi. These are experiences that we are happy to share from the horse's mouth. Once they reach Saudi, they are taken to a hostel and they are being duped that you are taken through a refresher course. They are being hoarded. The agent there is now telling the employers, I have my people here. Do you have any job? And I'll share with you the clips here. So, the agent that took them to Saudi has three options. The first option, that he can get the employers directly. Give them clients. The second option, he can use the middlemen. And here is where we are looking in the face of the diplomatic corps in the Middle East, in Saudi, and telling them, stop this misbehavior. They have turned into the agents. Now the middlemen where our state officers there are part of, look for clients, the employers. They negotiate with the employer. They bring the Kenyan agent on board. And then they tell you, how much will you pay? How much do you want us to pay for this one girl? Say 100,000. The contractor is showing 50,000. But once you go there, they agree on the modalities of payment. So she will tell them, I spent 100,000 to get a passport. I spent 20,000 to get an ID. I spent this amount for the medical test. The total cost of expenditure is 200,000. So because you are paying her this much, give me this lump sum. Then now the rest, you pay her in a monthly wages. Alternatively, what they do, she is paid her money, and then she gets a new contract now. She hands you over to this middleman or broker or the new agent. The new agent or the middleman does a new contract with you. Remember, you are in a foreign land. You have got no money, transport back. You don't have your passport. You don't have where to stay. So once the Kenyan agent and this broker or other agent agrees, he hands you over. And you have got no option. And he first hands over your passport to them. So what other option do you have? And the agreement now is not in English. You know that.
The agreement?
Yes.
The contract?
The contracts now.
The RIBA, the standard employment contract.
The one that is now, these girls are now signing. I'll share with you one here.
It is from our interaction with the contract.
Yes.
It's both in English and Arabic.
Good.
Yeah.
Now, it is in English, but where you sign the Arabic part. I want you to check that contract. I'll share one here. So, and you are being coerced. You are not given time to interrogate this contract and make decisions because of your circumstance. Then once you sign, even if you don't sign, she has your passport, she has been handed over to you. And in one instance, the girl told me, my employer told me, my agent, nimepitia hizi shida zote, nikakulipia gharama zote, nikakuleta Saudia, unaringa, wewe baki hapo. They are now referred to as Kemboi, if you've been following these issues.
Yes.
Do you call that job opportunity or you call that slavery?
Just to respond to that. Sure. I want to say this, that from our investigations, we noted the practice. I agree with what he's saying, that at the point of advertisement, when you go to the counties, you'll find that there is that advert saying there's a job in Qatar and you know that. It's true. There are brokers or sub-agents involved who gets to the locals or to the counties and connect these girls to the private employment agencies. Now the ones which are licensed to operate. And at that point, I am happy to report that the bill caters for that. The RIBA, the draft RIBA migration management bill, it is saying that using brokers it's a criminal offense, and that if as a private employment agency you're operating in Nairobi, register your regional branches, agencies. That's what the bill is providing. So,
the bill.
Yes. So I believe that one will be sorted. Again, to mention, just to respond to what you was explaining about the facilitation cost, that is true. That it is the employer who caters for the medical examination, for the training cost, for your passport, and in some instances you find these girls who do not even have a birth certificate. So it is the employer who caters for this. Now, when they get to Saudi Arabia, I agree with what you were saying, that there is the document confiscation, where a girl gets to the employer, they take your visa, they take your ID, passport and all that. That one I agree. And that's why as a commission, we are saying, before you even get to Saudi Arabia, please register with the National Employment Authority. Again, when you land in Saudi Arabia, register with the embassy. So that even from our investigations, we have established once our girls also they get to the employers, there is that being away from home. They miss their home. There's that psychological bit of it. You can imagine yourself, you are in a foreign country.
And you are curtailed from communicating.
Yes, you are in a foreign country. You are maybe your identification documents have been taken. You miss your home and all that. We agree with that. That's why we are saying as a commission, register with the embassy. Let the offices, the sister agent in Saudi Arabia, let them be known to us as a government and also to the other side, so that in case a girl has an issue or you're in distress, you can be taken back to the office. We agree. That's why we are saying as a commission, let these offices be registered, let them be known. Let us have that mold system where we have all data to ensure all these are followed up. And again, just to mention something that I did not say, is that we noted as a government, we only have one labor attaché in Saudi Arabia to listen to all these issues, or even to serve. Remember again, when the embassy in Saudi Arabia, it is meant to provide services to the Kenyan there. And at the embassy, we have the labor attaché, we have attaché for the various ministries. I think at that point we agree.
Correct.
So we are saying, as a government, we have one labor attaché to serve the whole of the Kenyans in Saudi Arabia. Remember something you need, it's on, let's talk of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Something you need to take note is that Saudi Arabia is the size of East Africa, or the size of Kenya, like 6 times. So you can imagine one person serving Kenyans around that country. You find one, Riyadh is the capital city of Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. You find one home is here in Nairobi, another home in Kakamega, another home in Moyale. So what we are saying is that the country is vast. So as a commission, and also something else we noted is that the riba attaché, that is one riba attaché in terms also of funds, in terms of operations. They're still finding it difficult, and as a commission, we are saying let's hand more riba attachés.
Okay.
Let's facilitate so that in case of distress or issues, then they can be resolved on time, and in case something needs to be repatriated back, they can be taken back and all that. And maybe something else as a commission we noted. Remember, as we are on oversight, we will look into the issues of the mnyonge and all that. Yes. We noted that the relevant departments, that is the National Employment Authority, Commission of Labor, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we noted when girls or domestic workers are in Saudi Arabia, in case they have an issue, you'll find there is no uniform way of reporting complaints. There is no uniform way or mechanism set in place to report to one institution. So you find some domestic workers will report to National Employment Authority, they report to Commissioner for Labor, they report to the Foreign Affairs. So as a commission, we are saying, let us have one channel of reporting all this, so that we know if you as Foreign Affairs you receive this complaint, and you as Commissioner of Labor and we can bring all these complaints together. So that in case one needs to, if it's a basic complaint, as when I talk of a basic, it's a simple complaint, like just a complaint. We can then, you see there are some complaints that do not require one to be taken from Saudi Arabia to Kenya. There are complaints that just be dealt with there between the employer. We just talk and agree and come up with an answer. But there are others that are
grave and subordinate.
Like if, for example, you've arrived, it's after a week, the domestic worker is bored and they want to come back to Kenya. Remember again, as I said, the employer induced money. So at this point, you see, with the riba attaché, our embassy, they can engage, they talk, and maybe this lady is changed from one home to another, where they are comfortable. So as we discuss all this, we need to take that into consideration, because one of the things we noted as a commission is that even there are points where someone gets to an employer's praise and they get bored, they want to change. So now we are saying as our government, how do we come in to protect them? You know, that's why now we are recommending for a data system.
And also, and also as you recommend for the data system, because it helps create a pool where all information drop there and they can be received and dispatched to the relevant institution that is mandated in that kind of grievance. The other thing also, as you've just mentioned it is now true that we do not only need legal review. We need a political solution. We need diplomatic relationships harnessed empowered, supported. In this instance, the girls are reaching out to their only hope, the embassy, turning them away.
And on that note, Mr. Ojira, because you've also mentioned you're in touch and in communication with some girls who are there, reaching out to you for help. As we conclude, because the time is also not on our side, let's talk about Haki Africa. Currently, you're in touch with girls. What steps are you taking to ensure, you know, that action has been made to bring them back home?
As a human rights organization, the data she's talking about, she gambles with it. As she has mentioned, there is no common avenue or space where data is coming. Our work is to create that pool, is to make sure that all these cases are documented, and we can engage with the relevant institutions authoritatively, including her institution, based on the facts, information and data available. So documenting will help government to listen, will compel them to tell them, hey, it is not one incident. The situation is dire. True or false? The second thing is to offer solidarity. You know, I may not be an ardent Christian, but I know there's power in the word. If somebody is in distress, she may not need an ultimate solution of bringing her back, but just speaking to her, giving her hope, is very key. As an organization, we study solidarity with the families, with the victims, with the survivors. And we intend to persuade the government, to persuade the world to relook into the situation of domestic workers in Saudi, especially Kenyan domestic workers. And in the same breath, compel the government, because the ultimate power belongs to the people. We have only donated to you until. So the donated power must be felt by the ordinary citizens, especially those in distress. What if you do not make them feel that power? So we are happy to say that the next thing is that as Haki Africa, we are planning and we are in an engagement with the legislators, with civic leaders, with families, and we are going to occupy the Foreign Affairs Ministry until she or he, that institution, brings back all our Kenyans home. So we are going there in large numbers, and we shall occupy that ministry, that Foreign Affairs Ministry, until our sisters are brought back home. I think that is what we call patriotism.
Just to respond very briefly, and also give your conclusion as well.
Just to respond to is that our report as a commission was meant to deal with the causes, not to the symptoms. That's why I talked of systemic, the structures in place
that permeates,
that rents all causes to this abuse. And that I said, I believe when all this is taken into place, we are likely to get to a situation to strengthen the protective measures. The first thing is that for us to appreciate as a government, we've done some, we put in place protective measures. Yes. And when all this is taken, there's unemployment in Kenya. We all agree to that. And as a government, by licensing and doing all this, we're trying to make sure that people have sources of livelihood. I just to ask you, my brother, what do you think should be the solution to all this issue? Because you've talked about bringing our girls back to Kenya. Because where I stand, I believe if we have all these structures strengthened, then we are likely, in case of anything, to act very fast, to fast track our response. Yes.
All right, I give you 1 minute. Allow me to
just a solution
we
propose.
Cannot wait until the laws are put in place before our girls come back home. I think it's important that we bring them back home first.
Now
they get safe home, and then we work on the legal provisions. So as I finish, in solidarity with our girls in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, we say, long live the undying spirit of our women in Saudi Arabia. And we say, more power to you. We trust and we believe you shall be back home safely soonest.
All right. Lillian, any final remarks?
Closing remarks?
Yes.
Yes. I would want to say that as a commission, we appreciate the efforts that various departments, agencies have taken in regards to the whole recruitment and management of domestic workers in Saudi Arabia, as well as other parts of the world. That's number one. And I also believe, as a commission, we are for the idea that a lot needs to be done, or more needs to be done. And that's what we are saying with the recommendations. We are happy the various departments have committed to implement or to work together to ensure that we strengthen the existing protective measures. Otherwise, just to say that even like Africa, please join us so that we work together to ensure a progressive, or to ensure that we have a country where rights and fundamental freedoms of everyone, especially this vulnerable category of people, are taken care of. And in case of any issue that needs immediate response, let's work together.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lillian Tinyari, an investigation officer at the Office of the Ombudsman, and Mr. Odhiambo Ojiro, who is a rapid response officer from Haki Africa. I think it has been a very candid conversation. I like that for me, that we've been able to look at this issue very soberly, with Lillian stretching an arm of invite there to Haki Africa saying, bury this together. But yeah, long live. And we hope that our Kenyan sisters and mothers as well who are in Saudi Arabia will be home safely. For me, long live. I like what Haki Africa goes by, hata mnyonge ana haki.
That is our slogan.
All right. Okay, hata mnyonge.
Let's bring it to action.
Yes.
Long live. Can we do long live together? With the left.
All right.
Long live the undying spirit of our girls in Saudi Arabia. Long live.
Long live to them. Indeed. And power to you, because of course what you're going through is not easy. So keep holding on, even as we create these discussions here that we believe will be able to compel our leaders to take action as well, to see you return home safe and to create an environment that will enable you to work, you know, safely, physically and mentally, and be able to build yourself back home. My name is Faith Kaulu. Thank you so much for joining us today right here at Kirk Mid Morning. Till next time, keep watching Kirk TV. Goodbye for now.